Welcome back to Grim Advice with Gretta Myers. You've entered the grimoire with 2 M's. Let's turn a page together. Maybe. Alright, the slate for this week. Very excited. Hopefully we won't have to jumble it around again. We've got the Gold Children, the Fox and the Geese, the Poor Man and the Rich Man, the Singing, Springing Lark, and the Goose Girl. So, without further ado, the Gold Children. There was once a poor man and a poor woman who had nothing but a little cottage, and who earned their bread by fishing, and always lived from hand to mouth. But it came to pass one day, when the man was sitting by the shore and casting his net, that he drew out a fish entirely of gold. As he was looking at the fish, full of astonishment, he began to speak, and said, "Listen, fisherman, if you will throw me back again into the water, I will change your little hut into a splendid castle." Then the fisherman answered, "Of what use is a castle to me if I have nothing to eat?" The goldfish continued, "That shall be taken care of. There will be a cupboard in the castle, in which when you open it shall be dishes of the most delicate meats, as many of them as you can desire." "If that be true," said the man, "then I can well do you a favor." "Yes," said the fish, "there is, however, the condition that you shall disclose to no one in the world, whoever he may be, where you get your good luck. If you speak but one single word, all will be over." Then the man threw the wonderful fish back again into the water and went home, but where his hut had formerly stood, now stood a great castle. He opened wide his eyes, entered, and saw his wife dressed in beautiful clothes, sitting in a splendid room, and she was quite delighted, and said, "Husband, how has this all come to pass? It suits me very well." "Yes," said the man, "it suits me too, but I am frightfully hungry. Just give me something to eat." Said the wife, "But I have got nothing, and don't know where to find anything in this new house." "There is no need to know," said the man, "for I see yonder a great cupboard. Just unlock it." And when she opened it, there stood cakes and meat, fruit, wine, quite a bright prospect. Then the woman cried joyfully, "What more can you want, my dear?" And they sat down and ate and drank together. When they had had enough, the woman said, "But husband, where do all these riches come from?" "Alas," answered he, "do not question me about this, for I dare not tell you anything. If I disclose it to anyone, then all our good fortune will fly." "Very good," said she. "If I am not to know anything, then I do not want to know anything." However, she was not in earnest. She never rested day or night, and she goaded her husband until in his impatience he revealed that all was owing to a wonderful golden fish which he had caught, and to which in return he had given its liberty. And as soon as the secret was out, the splendid castle with the cupboard immediately disappeared. They were once more in the gold fisherman's hut, and the man was obliged to follow his former trade in fish. But fortune would so have it that he once more drew out the golden fish. "Listen," said the fish, "if you will throw me back into the water again, I will once more give you the castle with the cupboard full of roast and boiled meats. Only be firm, for your life's sake. Don't reveal from whom you got it, or you will lose it all again." "I will take good care," answered the fisherman, and threw the fish back into the water. Now at home everything was once more in its former magnificence, and the wife was overjoyed at their good fortune, but curiosity left her no peace. So after a couple of days she began to ask again how it had come to pass, and how he had managed to secure it. The man kept silence for a short time, but at last she made him so angry that he broke out and betrayed the secret. In an instant the castle disappeared, and they were back again in their old hut. "Now you have got what you want," said he, "and we can gnaw at a bare bone again." "Ah," said the woman, "I had rather not have riches if I am not to know from whom they come, for then I have no peace." The man went back to fish, and after a while he chanced to draw out the goldfish for a third time. "Listen," said the fish, "I see very well that I am fated to fall into your hands. Take me home and cut me into 6 pieces, and give your wife 2 of them to eat, 2 to your horse, and bury 2 of them in the ground, and they will bring you a blessing." The fisherman took the fish home with him, and did as it had bidden him. And it came to pass, however, that from the 2 pieces which were buried in the ground 2 golden lilies sprang up, that the horse had 2 golden foals, and the fisherman's wife bore 2 children who were made entirely of gold. The children grew up, became tall and handsome, and the lilies and the horses likewise. Then they said, "Father, we want to mount our golden steeds and travel out in the world." But he answered sorrowfully, "How shall I bear it if you go away? And I know not how it fares with you." Then they said, "The 2 golden lilies remain here. By then you can see how it is with us. If they are fresh, then we are in health. If they are withered, we are ill. If they perish, then we are dead." So they rode forth and came to an inn in which there were many people. And when they perceived the gold children, they began to laugh and jeer. When one of them heard the mocking, he felt ashamed and would not go out in the world, but turned back and went home again to his father. But the other rode forward and reached a great forest. As he was about to enter it, the people said, "It is not safe for you to ride through. The wood is full of robbers who will treat you badly. You will fare ill, and when they see you are all of gold, and your horse likewise, they will assuredly kill you." But he would not allow himself to be frightened, and said, "I must and will ride through it." Then he took bear skins, and covered himself and his horse with them, so that the gold was no more to be seen, and rode fearlessly into the forest. When he had ridden onward a little, he heard a rustling in the bushes, and heard voices speaking together. From one side came cries of, "There is one," but from the other, "Let him go, 'tis an idle fellow, as poor and bare as a church mouse. What should we gain from him?" So the gold child rode joyfully through the forest, and no evil befell him. One day he entered a village where he saw a maiden who was so beautiful that he did not believe that any more beautiful than she existed in the world, and as much a mighty love took possession of him, and he went up to her and said, "I love you with my whole heart. Will you be my wife?" He too pleased the maiden so much that she agreed and said, "Yes, I will be your wife, and be true to you my whole life long." Then they were married, and just as they were in the greatest happiness, home came the father of the bride, and when he saw that his daughter's wedding was being celebrated, he was astonished and said, "Where is the bridegroom?" They showed him the gold child, who, however, still wore his bearskins. Then the father said wrathfully, "A vagabond shall never have my daughter," and was about to kill him. Then the bride begged as hard as she could and said, "He is my husband, and I love him with all my heart," until at last he allowed himself to be appeased. Nevertheless, the idea never left his thoughts, so the next morning he rose early, wishing to see whether his daughter's husband was a common ragged beggar. When he peeped in, he saw a magnificent golden man in the bed, and the cast-off bearskins lying on the ground. Then he went back and thought, "What a good thing it is that I restrained my anger. I should have committed a great crime." But the gold child dreamed that he rode out to hunt a splendid stag, and when he awoke in the morning he said to his wife, "I must go out hunting." She was uneasy and begged him to stay there, and said, "You might easily meet with a great misfortune." But he answered, "I must and will go." Therefore he got up and rode forth into the forest, and it was not long before a fine stag crossed his path, exactly according to his dream. He aimed and was about to shoot it when the stag ran away. He gave chase over hedges and ditches for the whole day without feeling tired, but in the evening the stag vanished from his sight, and when the golden child looked round him, he was standing before a little house in which was a witch. He knocked, and a little old woman came out and asked, "What are you doing so late in the middle of the great forest? Have you not seen a stag?" "Yes," answered she, "I know the stag well." A little dog, which had come out of the house with her, barked at the man violently. "Will you be silent, you odious toad," said he, "or I will shoot you dead." Then the witch cried out in a passion, "What! Will you slay my little dog?" and immediately transformed him so that he lay like a stone, and his bride awaited him in vain, and thought, "That which I so greatly dreaded, which lay so heavily on my heart, has come upon him." But at home the other brother was standing by the gold lilies when one of them suddenly drooped. "Good heavens," said he, "my brother has met with some great misfortune. I must go away to see if I can possibly rescue him." Then the father said, "Stay here. If I lose you also, what shall I do?" But he answered, "I must and will go forth." Then he mounted his golden horse and rode forth, and entered the great forest, where his brother lay turned to stone. The old witch came out of her house and called him, wishing to entrap him also, but he did not go near her, and said, "I will shoot you, if you will not bring my brother to life again." She touched the stone, though very unwillingly, with her forefinger. He immediately restored to his human shape. The two gold children rejoiced when they saw each other, and kissed and caressed each other, and rode away together out of the forest, the one home to his bride, and the other to his father. The father then said, "I knew well that you had rescued your brother," for the golden lilies suddenly rose up and blossomed out again. Then they lived happily, and all prospered with them until their death. Alright. Okay, we'll go backwards. Don't we all wish we had those golden lilies, though? Let's be real. Like, we love and care about people so much. But sometimes we have no idea how they're doing. We just have our best guess. And I mean, technology is a wonderful thing, and has allowed us a lot of times to be able to stay connected, be it our golden lily. However, lilies can't lie. People can't. So, there's that. If there's a spooky old woman living in the middle of the forest, probably leave her alone. Either A, because she wants to be left alone because she's a normal person who just doesn't like people, or because she's a witch. So, also, you know, they say follow your dreams, but in this case it didn't turn out very well. So here's, follow your dreams. However, there's a point when following your dreams becomes too much and too hard, and it loses you the people you love and care about. So, be careful how you follow your dreams. Okay, there were a couple other points. I mean, the whole bearskins thing. Don't, like, you don't know the people who are around you. We all have our own bearskins, whether literal or metaphorical, emotional, whatever. So just be careful with the people around you. Okay, so they both get to an inn, and then the one brother is like, "Hey," and then people laugh and they mock him, so he goes back home. The other one's like, "Nah, whatever, I'm fine," and continues on. So, however, how did it fare for the one who stayed home? It was fine. That was, yeah, he was valid, he was happy, he found happiness, and was eventually able to go out for the right reasons. However, I feel like he left and went home for the wrong reasons. Because letting other people tell you that you can't do it is not the right reason. And the father, understandably, was like, how am I gonna handle you going away and me not knowing how you're doing? Like, that's a very real fear. And did it work out for the gold children in the end? It absolutely did. So, it's an understandable fear to be worried about your loved ones, but most of the time they'll be okay. It'll be okay. Just so long as you make it clear that you love them and are there for them. No matter what they need. It'll be okay. Okay, the wife really bugged me. I have several points to make here. One of which being like, lady, come on, like the exact same thing happened again. Can't you just assume it was the fish again? And leave it at that? But no, she couldn't. But she was honest. I'd rather not have riches if I am not to know from whom they come, for then I have no peace. Know your limits. Like, for her, that was more important than having the riches. Which, I don't know, man. If my house suddenly turned into a castle, don't think I will question it too much. Okay, but then, on the other, so, if that's important to you, is knowing the answers is more important to you than this life you're living, then that's okay, that's your valid. However, sometimes when we push and 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 we push, and you get the idea, we lose the people we love. They blow up, they freak out, and we lose that castle. We lose that trust, that where we're at in the relationship sometimes. But then again, it's good to have some answers. I don't know. It's valid back. Like, I understand both sides of this. It's not easy. Okay. Here's a line I really liked, and a point I really want to make. If I am not to know anything, then I do not want to know anything. And sometimes that's the answer we want. When we're not ready to talk to people, when we're not ready to share whatever story they want to hear, having them say, then I don't want to know, sometimes that can be comforting. However, it drove the lady mad. And then the man mad. And then they lost their castle twice. And still managed to provide for all golden children. I don't know. But anyways. So be honest. Like, if someone's like, if you have questions for someone and they're like, hey, not right now, don't be like, oh, okay, I don't need to know, it's fine. If you really want to know, and it's not just because you're being nosy, although that's, like, understandable, but if you're, like, I don't know, like, maybe you have a question about a friend they have, or something, and you really, you want to know, because this is important to you, and you feel it is important to both of you. If they say, not right now, it's okay to say, alright, I respect that, we can, whenever you're ready, however, I do want to know. Like, that's okay to say that you still want to know. That's being honest, is being valid. This is just as honest as saying, hey, this is hard for me. If, say, their story does come out, and if you end up hearing their story and you're like, that's not easy for you and it's not easy for me. Like, it's okay to not be okay with, because watching the people you love hurts. Watching the people you love be stuck in a hut and you have to fish every day, that hurts too. Basically, honesty. Unless you really can't, or it's just not a good time. So long as you're upfront about that, then as long as you're honest about not being honest, what's the problem? Am I right? Right? And honestly, I love the fisherman. This last little bit. I love the fisherman. He says, of what use is a castle to me if I have nothing to eat? Sometimes we have this grand vision, trademark, of our lives in our head. And we're like, we're going to have this and this and this. And we're working so hard to follow that dream, to get there, to get that castle, to get that stag, whatever it is, the girl, the car, the house, the job, the family, the whatever, right? We have this vision, grand vision, trademark, in our head. But we give up a lot along the way to reach that. Maybe it's, of what use is a castle to me if I'm not happy? Of what use is a castle to me if I don't want to get out of bed in the morning? Of what use is a castle to me if I've lost everywhere I love? Whew. Ooh, that hit. So, be careful. Be careful out there. Have dreams, be ambitious, have that grand vision. Trademark. Have all those things. Those are good, important things. However, know that you need food too. Literally. Go eat something. Go eat and drink something. Okay. I love this story, honestly. I love this story. Okay. So much to get it from it. So it's just pure gold. Alright, my gremlins. Thank you for joining me for another happily ever after. Or not so happily ever after. That's up for you to decide, and what you decide is valid, because you're valid. You are. Either way, this is the end for this episode, so tune in later. We can learn more and turn more pages together.